The next one is Greg Partridge. Is Greg here?
A wee bit, yeah. Maybe it's a bit more friendly though. Rightio.
Kia ora, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I know I've only got 5 minutes, so I'll crack on. So I'm Greg Partridge from Richmond. My draft plan, my submission's on the draft plan, obviously. Ratepayers' money should be carefully spent on things that need fixing and doing it properly the first time, rather than the council wasting money on work that doesn't need to be done or needs redoing. Millions of dollars shouldn't be wasted in that way, particularly when there are stark reminders in the city of how poorly considered ideas have ended up costing ratepayers more money to fix in the long run. Rate should be spent wisely, not only to ensure ratepayers are getting excellent value for money, but to guarantee sustainable outcomes for our residents, neighbourhoods and the wider city now and into the future. Rates shouldn't be wasted on administrative costs, consultant fees or projects that are later neglected or ripped up and changed. Spend that money instead on fixing earthquake-damaged roads. While that work's being done, install rain garden infrastructure and plant more street trees. Doing that will fight climate change. It will protect the environment of our city, improve the mental and physical health of those who live here, and boost economic prosperity overall. Spend money and invest in the protection of the existing established trees. Our tree canopy is vanishing at alarming rates across the city to make way for additional housing. If you allow that eradication to continue, air quality will be poorer, more frequent urban heating will happen, more surface flooding will occur, pumping even greater volumes of pollutant-rich stormwater into our rivers. It will add greater pressure to the Three Waters infrastructure system and have detrimental impacts on our roads, cycleways and footpaths. All of that will lead to increased costs for the council going forward into the long term. By protecting the established trees now, you can help our city achieve 15 of the 17 internationally supported United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. You will also be aligning with the principles, the community outcomes and strategic priorities of your own strategic framework document. The Christchurch City Council website contains the extensive list of benefits that trees play in our city. If you haven't read it already, please do, and if you have read it recently, read it again. Housing Minister Megan Woods agrees that trees are an important part of our urban environment and that it's up to the councils to actually implement the protections of them. So please, spend the money, protect the existing trees before the damage is done, before it's too late and there's none left, as is the example here before you. Now that photograph I sent through to Jenny Hughey, Chair of ECAN, she replied, "The photographs you've provided are a stark illustration of the outcomes that can result without protective measures in place. As you point out, the benefits of trees are well documented. I commend your well thought out and passionate argument in supporting greater protection of existing trees and incentives for new plantings. Your analysis of the issue is thorough." Council have confirmed that there's only roughly 1,200 protected trees on private land. Of those, as Sarah Templeton raised, almost 900 are at risk of losing that protected status. So how are we doing? Not great. If Bottle Lake Forest was to burn down tonight, like the Port Hills did several years ago, we'd be left with only 11% tree canopy coverage across Christchurch City. That's appalling for a garden city and a city that's declared a climate emergency. There is no time to waste. It's up to you guys. You've got the power. So spend the time, spend the money, protect those trees and protect them now, because it takes far too long. As you see in that photograph on the left, it took them 40 years to achieve that. We haven't got 40 years. And if the developers tell you that it can't be done, it can be done. They can build around trees. So if they land that on your table, tell them to bugger off. It's bullshit. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. I don't know if you've looked at our proposal around the plan in relation to the requirement that this establishment of a fund for tree planting to make up for those that we can't protect through our district plan.
But you should be able to change the rules. I know there's
has required us to change the rules.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But
and,
I mean,
and we're trying to find a solution to work with that, and the solution we've come up with actually establishes a fund to plant trees where
the solution you've come up
developer
actually,
doesn't keep
I'm sorry, the
20%.
solution you're coming up with is actually allowing developers to buy their way through a climate emergency, to clear fell the city even further than what it already is. For a city that's declared a climate and ecological emergency, you need to be bold, you need to be braver, you need to be changing the category of a tree to be protected so that more trees can be protected. I'm not asking for a blanket protection across the city because that would be completely unrealistic.
Well, it's unlawful.
But it's unrealistic as well, which is the point. But you should be able to go, okay, there's trees around our city as depicted here that could have been saved. One of those trees is actually standing on council ground.
Yeah,
No?
I'd
Where's the
really
photo?
like to explore this further because, this is something that every single councillor is passionate about, and we are trying and struggling in many respects to deal with rule changes that have been imposed on High. I met with the Minister last week by Zoom to explore this further, and I didn't get the pushback on it that I thought that I would. So I think that there is room to move. Pauline.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I see where you're coming from with what Leanne's talking about as a financial contribution if the trees are lost. But you lose all that height and those years of growth. It's one way around it, but not the way. But what we're struggling with is we're being told that the organisation is struggling with the resource to actually identify the trees that need protection and to go around and visit them all, and they have to be inspected. So my question to you is, do you support the council investing that amount of money and potentially having to increase the
1,000% I
rates to
support
do
that. Yes. Because if we don't, I mean, how many developers do you know that don't go onto sites and clear fell everything?
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is, would you support the council spending more money and with a potential rate increase to cover that?
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Can I flow on from that, because I just think that there's another question there, because there's a Section 32 report that has to go with every single tree that you protect. How about the low-hanging fruit, that we actually invite people who want to protect trees on their private property now and absorb the value that might then adjust their property? Would you support that approach?
Absolutely. I'd also support the council actually pushing Arbor Day, which is coming up next month, so that it is actually on the radar for everybody in Christchurch, so that it is Arbor Day, that it's important, that we should be out there planting trees.
Yeah.
And we should be educating the developers to stop chopping them down.
Well, yeah, protecting your own.
Yeah. Start in your own backyard. That's what I've done at home. I had a blank piece of land. I've planted everything in natives apart from the edibles, and I've probably planted about 30 trees on my site.
Yeah, well,
And I'm
people
only
who
on a
want to
small
protect
section in
their
town.
own, you can call them the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Right, okay. All right, look, thank you very much.
Hey,
Greg.
thank you.
It's good to see you.
Great, thanks
you.
a lot.